Welcome back. Our guest is Dr. Muda Yusuf. He joins us remotely. And we've been talking about setting an agenda for the incoming administration. And Dr. Yusuf has been taking us through the rounds. But in a program like this, thank God Dr. Yusuf is an expert and is flexible, because the way questions are coming in, everybody is bringing what their own concern is. Mazi Okorafor spoke about the price control mechanism. Dr. Yusuf has commented on that. But Mr. George, who also called in, was wondering, look, the kind of organizations that you have been managing, like the Chamber of Commerce and Industry and now the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, that there should be a role for organizations like this in the area of policy that you spoke about, that this is going to have to be policy management, maybe policy upgradement. Could you hear me, Dr. Yusuf?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So please, would you like to look at that? The role of other organizations. You said it from the very top that you just have to have a sparkling economic team. Somebody else also said that called in. But how about bodies like the LCCI and right now the CPPE? Should those also, would it be useful, wise of the administration to also be in dialogue with those people to sort of know the lie of the ground?
Yes, it is very important. That speaks to the importance of stakeholder engagement. Now, one of the major shortcomings of the Buhari administration, as far as economic management is concerned, is the absence of a robust stakeholder engagement. You see, when you are managing an economy, you manage an economy for people. You are managing an economy for investment and for investors. There are macro issues, that's cross-cutting issues, that is very easy to deal with by those who are economic experts, like things around this foreign exchange that you just talk about. Because if you have a very an exchange rate regime or foreign exchange policy that is very transparent, one of the callers also alluded to it. The foreign exchange policy, for instance, it has created a very transactional foreign exchange market, which is not good for the economy. The market is not transparent. There is too much discretion. So that is a macro issue. But when it comes to specifics, for you to get the right kind of policy, say for broadcasting industry, as an economist, it's not easy to sit down and just formulate a policy for broadcasting. You need to engage those who are in the industry. If you are formulating a policy for industry, for ICT, for the financial system, for the banking, you need to speak to stakeholders in that sector so that you can come up with sector-specific policies that will encourage investment in those sectors. Don't forget, this is about investment. No economy can grow if you don't have investment. You cannot generate revenue if investment is not growing. You cannot create jobs if investment is not growing. But when people sit at the level of policy, they are not talking to people who are on the ground, who are the real investors, and they are just turning out policies. Of course, it creates problems for the economy. So I agree with you perfectly. Engagement is key, not just about talking to experts. Yes, expert knowledge is good, but empirical evidence.
That's right.
As to what is happening on the ground, then feedback on the part of policymakers. You have put a policy in place. You do come back 6 months, 1 year after, to do a review of the policy, to do an impact assessment of the policy.
So are you saying, Dr. Yusuf, that not very much of this was done in the PMB administration?
No, not at all. I mean, with due respect, you listened to the president yesterday when he was talking about border closure. Now, just because of rice, you close the border.
That was on advice.
Nobody took account of.
He would have been advised.
Yes, no, you could see he was speaking from deep conviction that because people are smuggling rice, you close the border. Nobody did any due diligence assessment of the impact because the economy is far, far beyond rice. I mean, what happens to those who are trading across the border? What happens to those who are sourcing raw materials from neighboring countries? What happens to our protocol on ECOWAS? You can see the impact the thing had.
Yes. Yes.
But there was no consultation. We just felt that because people are smuggling rice, we just closed the border. It was very disruptive. I'm not saying there were some little gains here and there. But the cost-benefit analysis doesn't support that kind of action. If people are failing at the border to do their jobs, then people should be called to account. You don't throw away the baby with the bathwater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, this reminds me.
This has had a lot of implications. I know of many factories that closed down because they are getting their raw materials from neighboring countries, from ECOWAS countries, under the ETLS. We have the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. This is a protocol that we sign on to as a member of ECOWAS. Once your product is on that list, you are free to take it in and out of ECOWAS region. Suddenly, the border was closed.
Indeed.
And we are now being told that it's because of rice. So that is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Stakeholder engagement to know the impact of policy, to be able to determine, do a cost-benefit analysis of policy.
So these are pitfalls.
The same thing is happening with
these are pitfalls I am taking, that these are pitfalls that the incoming administration has to watch out for. But my question to you, Dr. Yusuf, would be engaging with people in the appropriate sectors that are on the ground. I wonder, wouldn't that make it so complex? Because maybe that's why you have administrators. In an ideal case scenario, they should know what they are doing. They should, they're all-round sort of experts. But by the time we start to do what you are saying, wouldn't policies take forever? Because people are not going to agree, perhaps, ordinarily. That's why you have to sort of systemize it. And you've just been telling us some of the downsides of such systemization when people don't really know what's going on. I'm reminded here of the disastrous currency exchange exercise of the central bank governor, Emefiele. This was another instance of not studying the impact that this would have, and it became a mess, and it had to be scrapped, even though they've not said it's been scrapped. But now we're spending the very money that they said we wouldn't be spending again. So things can go wrong when you don't, when you don't seem to have all the facts on what you're doing. I don't want to go ahead and say when you don't know what you're doing. So how do we come out? Where's the fine compromise, Doctor? Where's the fine compromise between?
Now, the point is, first of all, whoever is managing any department of government must have some knowledge.
Okay.
You may not necessarily be an expert, but you must have some good knowledge of the agency that you are managing. On top of that, I mean, we have close to how many ministries? The ministries are also created to take care of sector-specific issues. We have Ministry of Communication, who should be liaising with operators in the telecoms and ICT sector. We have Ministry of Agric, who should be engaging with the farmers across sectors, not only rice. Should be talking to poultry farmers. You should be talking to those who are growing yam and all of that. You should be talking to those who are in livestock business, not only rice.
Indeed, I get
because
you.
The agri policy of the administration was just about rice. What happens to other segments of agriculture? So the point I'm making is that all these ministries are structured to take care of different aspects of the economy? How much of engagement are they having with practitioners? I'm not saying that they should take all the advice or proposals of practitioners. No. People can also be very selfish when it comes to things like this. But for somebody who has some knowledge, you should be able to discern and distill those recommendations and proposals that are coming from the industry players. So that they are brought on board. You have an inclusive policy formulation process. I mean, you just started the example of the Naira redesign policy. It was a complete disaster. Complete disaster. I mean, look at the damage it has done to the economy. And up to now, nobody has thought this to apologize to Nigerians. The CBN has not come out to apologize. The president too has not apologized. It was completely unnecessary policy. This is what I was talking about. First, having the right people in the right places. Second, about engaging stakeholders. Those two things are very critical in managing an economy. Nobody knows everything. You may know the theory, you may not know the practical aspects of things. This is why we have to talk to people who are on the ground, because they are the people driving the economy, not even foreign investors. Look at what Dangote has done. How many foreign investors can put that kind of stake or take that kind of risk? No foreign investor can do that in any African country.
Indeed.
Look at what he has done.
Exactly.
So we have to take our investors seriously. We have to show them some respect. In this environment, we don't respect entrepreneurs. We don't respect investors. People just sit down and be rolling out policy as if we are in the military barracks.
So Doctor,
all that has to change.
What part does data, statistics play in all of this? Because this is like the fuel of a sort of a meaningful understanding of the economy and how to deal with it. How are we in that area?
You see, that is coming from the perspective of research. Quality research should guide policy-making actions. There are two components or two dimensions of research. There's quantitative research, which has to do with data, collecting data to be able to analyze the possible impact of policy or to make the right policy choices. There's qualitative research, which involves engaging and talking to people.
Okay.
So that you can capture the emotions and everything involved in the policy that you want to undertake. Those two things are important. The stakeholder engagement is in a way a form of qualitative research to get information directly and capture all the nuances around a policy decision that you want to undertake. There are some ministries, if they want to undertake a policy, they issue what they call exposure draft. They circulate it to stakeholders. That, okay, this is our plan for this policy. And they hold a stakeholder dialogue or engagement to discuss the draft. That is the way policies are done.
Okay, one moment, please, Doctor. Dr. Yusuf, I'm sorry, Dr. Yusuf. Let me bring on Austin, who's called in from Edo State. Good morning to you, Austin.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, my name is Austin Osagai.
Okay.
And I am a first-time caller.
Oh, we're delighted to have you.
Yes, I am a regular listener of your program.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yes, but I just want to, you went to Abuja. I will not be able to comment on the issue you are discussing about now because you just came from Abuja. So now, but what I want to say, sir, is that I noticed that in this your program, you have these regular callers who keep getting access. I don't know how it is done, but if a special preference has been given to them, I want to appeal that I should also be given that preference.
But you have the preference. You just said it. Today is the only day you're a regular a regular viewer, but you decided to call in today, and you got through.
No, but I'll be calling, sir. I'll be calling and calling, and you can't get through.
All right.
Maybe, sir, you can also help me send this message across to the ladies. Your view.
No, we've got to limit. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. We've got to limit ourselves to this program and this subject matter at this time. We're talking about, setting an agenda for the incoming administration with Dr. Muda Yusuf.
Yes.
Have you heard any part of the program at all?
No. Well, I'm just lucky to get through to you now. That's why I'm holding you. I will keep listening. Maybe I'll call again after listening to him for some time.
Oh, all right. Oh, dear. Thank you very much for calling in, Austin. Dr. Yusuf was in the middle of some important explanation, and it does happen like that sometimes. And, the producers wouldn't let me rest. They kept on saying, Austin is there, Austin is there. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Austin. So where do we go back now to... because Austin said he would...
we were talking about data and the rest of it.
Yes, the importance of data, and you were explaining
I was talking about the importance of data. Data is good in guiding policy decisions, in making policy choices. And I said that there's quantitative aspects of appraisal of issues. There's qualitative aspect, which involved what we have been discussing, which is about talking to people, talking to stakeholders, so that the dimensions of the implications can be properly captured. And it doesn't have to take forever. That is why we have the Economic Council, we have the Federal Executive Council. These ministers are representing different sectors of the economy. It's for them to take this feedback to the policymakers. And I'm sure you are going to have a very strong economic advisory team.
Indeed.
We will also be advising the president, not just being idle, because under this administration, we had the Presidential Advisory Council. We never heard of them. I'm not sure they were meeting, because if they were doing their work, why the president would just say because of rice, you are closing the border, So we have to do things differently. And we have to respect our institutions.
Doctor, let me move on because time is winding down, and I did want your input on this whole question of how tougher is life going to get when and if the subsidy on the petrol is indeed removed. You recall that Ashwaju had said on the campaign trail that it was a task that had to be done. What do you think about that whole removal, subsidy removal policy and the effect it's going to have, still speaking under the heading of cost of living generally?
Well, first of all, there's at least generally agreed that this subsidy thing is not sustainable. If you are spending close to 7 trillion naira annually, and not all of this amount is going actually to the subsidy, a good proportion of it is going to the pockets of people. So, and it is not easy to police. That is the reality. Whoever you put there to be policing it, you also become part of the scam. So the solution is to remove it completely. But the issue is the strategy or removal. Now, as a new administration, I don't think it will be wise or prudent to come and from day one, you announce a total removal of the subsidy. The shock on the citizens will be very difficult to bear, especially that the citizens have been going through a lot up until this point. So my take will be that first, we should have a phased removal over 12 months.
Okay.
And as we are removing it, we have to be putting in place policies to cushion the effect. First, what are the things that the poor are spending their money on? They spend money on food. What can we do to bring down the cost of food? There are some short-term things that you can do. Again, it comes back to engagement. The poor people, they eat a lot of bread. they take noodles, they take gari, apple, and all these wogi and things like that. Let us engage with the stakeholders. What are the quick wins that we can put in place to reduce their cost so that at the market end, the prices of these things will come down? I mean, flour, we have the flour millers. We have those who produce all these noodles. We have those who are in agricultural production. All of them have been complaining of one challenge or the other. Let us remove those obstacles, first and foremost. Some of them could be related to tariff. Some of them could be related to their equipment. Some of them could be related to processing. Some of them could be related to their raw materials, inputs. Let us remove barriers in all those areas so that we can boost the supply side of this.
Okay.
The second area is energy. Now you have high costs of diesel and other energy products. Let us engage with the stakeholder, because what we have now is a monopoly situation. It's only NMPC that is supplying petroleum products. How can we bring other players there so that we can introduce some competition? So we need to engage the stakeholders. How can we, in the short term, how can we bring down the cost of energy? Then we can do a lot again in the area of medicals. The cost of medication is extremely high. Are we talking to those who are in the medical profession, the pharmacists?
Okay.
What can the government do for you in the short term to bring down the cost? These things are not rocket science.
Well, okay, one moment, Dr. Yusuf, one moment. Chidi has been holding on for a long while, and I'm going to let him get his comment or question in. Good morning, Chidi. Sorry to have kept you waiting, but I wanted the doctor to finish on that important point. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, as we are eagerly waiting for the inauguration of the new administration, I congratulate the president-elect and the governors-elect as well. But I would want the new administration to start by uniting Nigerians so that the acrimony that has affected our unity in the last 5 years will be removed. And when this is done, the economy should be the next agenda for the new government, as they are planning on how to fix our economy. They also plan on how to ensure the security of lives of Nigerians and the protection of property. Because I want to believe that these are the assets that we will have to guide jealously to ensure that a new Nigeria is born.
Thank you very much.
God bless Nigeria.
Really appreciate your calling in. Thank you very much for that. And Dr. Yusuf, we've just about run out of time, but you know that last viewer said that, look, take care of so many other things, and then the rest will almost like take care of itself. But there's much work to be done is the one thing I get from having this conversation with you this morning, and quite a lot of that work has to be done differently, in the new administration. Is that a right summation to take from this?
Of course. We need to do a lot of things differently. There are a few things that we need to sustain. I mean, it's not everything that is bad. We have to identify those things that are worthy of being sustained. And we have to identify those things that we need to do differently. I mean, of course, if you have the right team, they should be able to identify these things and advise the leadership, political leadership appropriately.
Well, I want to thank you very much for making time for us this morning, Dr. Yusuf. Dr. Muda Yusuf is the Chief Executive Officer, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, and used to be the Director General in the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, Dr. Muda Yusuf, for being on our program this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much, Uncle Yori. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Okay, so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.